It's never easy to return from a season-ending injury, especially when you are a rookie. Pittsburgh Steelers offensive lineman Troy Fautanu is familiar with this unfortunate career path, but he is eager for his second training camp. Fautanu produced an impressive effort during his rookie preseason, which catapulted him into the starting conversation at the right tackle vacancy. After briefly securing the starting job over Broderick Jones, he suffered a troublesome fate. He was lost to the season after suffering a campaign-ending knee injury against the Denver Broncos last year. Most of his first season in the NFL was spent rehabbing and getting back into playing shape. He reported to training camp healthier than ever and raring to put the helmet back on. Nick Farabaugh of Penn Live caught up with Fautanu, where he reported that the second-year offensive tackle is ready to go. This is great news for Pittsburgh as they hope to create a strong offensive line this season. All 5 of their starters have pressure to perform this year, with ancient Aaron Rodgers standing behind them. It will be up to this improving group to show they are worthy of the hype. Troy Fautanu's return from injury should fix the Pittsburgh Steelers' O-line at training camp. Troy Fautanu might have a lot of attention with his return from injury, but he appeared to be steady before that setback occurred. Although there is excitement in the trenches for Pittsburgh, it should be brought with concern. Their offensive line is full of high-upside talent, but it's largely made up of young and unproven players. The group will be full of players who have a long way to go before everyone is happy. Outside of Fautanu's poised presence and Isaac Seumalo's steady play, the Steelers' offensive line remains a mix of promise and inexperience heading into training camp. While several linemen have shown flashes, this group must mature quickly to prove Pittsburgh's rebuild in the trenches is finally complete. 4 out of the 5 starters must prove the doubters wrong this season. Broderick Jones will be the starting left tackle once and for all this campaign. He has barely played snaps on his normal side. He struggled on his opposite side, and Pittsburgh is praying the switch back to where he's most comfortable will fix his woes. If Jones fails, it's possible Fautanu will get shuffled around the season because the left side is the most important position along the line. The Steelers will rely on a duo of Zach Frazier and Mason McCormick to help control the remainder of the offensive line. Both showed a lot of positive outcomes throughout their rookie seasons, but neither is abundant with experience outside of that. They're entering a pivotal season that could secure their spot as long-term starters for years to come. It's not like the Steelers formulated their off-season plan back in January with St. Vincent College in mind, but now that they're back on campus, they're happy to take advantage of what having their training camp here can offer. The Steelers players reported before the 4 p.m. deadline on Wednesday, and as Coach Mike Tomlin said, everyone is present and accounted for. On Thursday, the work begins for everyone except Isaac Seumalo, who is placed on the active/NFI, non-football injury, list with what was described by Tomlin as a soft tissue injury. The group that will take the field includes a number of new faces, including Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay, Brandon Eccles, Kenneth Gainwell, DK Metcalf, Jonas Smith, Juan Thornhill, and Robert Woods, as well as the typical complement of draft picks and other rookies. It's good to see this collection of talent that we've been able to assemble even into the summer, said Tomlin. We continue to work on the talent acquisition component of this team development. But now, the vast majority of that is over. And now it's about developing individual and collective football skills, division of labor roles, technical expertise. What makes this version different is that a number of the new players arrive with established NFL resumes, with MVP trophies and All-Pro recognition, with experiences outside of this franchise, with little knowledge of how the Steelers want to do business, with personalities and maybe even egos that are going to have to mesh with the personalities and egos already in place if the 2025 season is to turn out the way everyone wants it to turn out. This team development process is development in a lot of ways, as individuals from a knowledge perspective, from a technical development perspective, but it's also as a collective, said Tomlin. And that collective growth has a lot to do with teamwork and gaining an understanding of the things that we value here culturally and things of that nature. And so, that applies to all new people regardless of what their resumes might read. I think it's one of the benefits of coming to a destination camp, and we do so very intentionally because it gives us an opportunity to capture that which we cannot measure but we know is significant in terms of team building. That's the intangible component of team, that mutual respect, that understanding, that knowledge beyond surface-level things. We get an opportunity to work at that in an environment like this just as we do the tangible things. Among the tangible things will be integrating 3 veteran cornerbacks into a group that already has another cornerback, third-year pro Joey Porter Jr., as part of a secondary that will be without Minkah Fitzpatrick, a 3-time first-team All-Pro free safety after coming to the team in 2019. Tomlin remember Ramsey as being the team's #1 cornerback and the #1 safety on their board leading up to the 2016 NFL Draft, and he was asked where Ramsey might start in the 2025 version of the Steelers' secondary. "We're going to start him regardless," said Tomlin with a laugh. "Where we move him around, and things really depends on what offenses are doing. Make no mistake, those top 3 corners, Jalen Ramsey, Slay, and Joey Porter Jr., they're going to be on the field, and I don't care what personnel grouping offenses come out in. They're coverage people. Describe them however you wish to describe them. They're capable of covering eligibles and minimizing the time and the successfulness of offensive passing games." The other part of the return in the trade that sent Fitzpatrick to the Dolphins was Jonnu Smith, listed as a tight end but similar to Ramsey in that his value isn't necessarily defined by the position listed opposite his name on the depth chart. As Tomlin describes it, a football player first and a positional player second. "Forget how you describe him, a Y, an H, a Z, or what have you," said Tomlin. "The bottom line is he's a dynamic guy with the ball in his hands. He's a matchup issue. I think he led the tight end group in the NFL last year in terms of yards after catch. He had 800-plus yards and 8 touchdowns, and so that's an eligible who's capable of making some splash plays for us and doing it in a variety of ways, who has first-hand experience with our offensive play caller. And so we're really excited about that. And none of that touches on the addition of Rodgers and how he and his skill set are to be assimilated into the group. He's a workaholic. I don't have a whole lot of reservations about that," said Tomlin. "I think he's hardened himself over the course of his career with his attitude toward work. Certainly, I'm going to limit him in practices in some instances, but when I do, it's going to be more about elevating opportunities for guys like Will Howard and less about preserving him, to be quite honest with you. I'm really excited just to look at the group and see it display their physical conditioning, their readiness in that area. Now, we embark upon this journey that will be our 2025 season." It didn't take long for former Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Russell Wilson to find solid footing after a surprising and abrupt departure from the Steel City. And now, just days into training camp, Wilson is already being handed the reins in New York. Giants head coach Brian Daboll made it crystal clear in his press conference. "These guys will be out here competing, but Russ is our starter," Daboll told the media via ESPN NFL Nation's Jordan Raanan. "No gray area. No coach speak. Wilson is QB1. Honestly, I'm not surprised at all. While his time in Pittsburgh was short-lived, Wilson did everything that was asked of him, and more. He entered a high-pressure environment with a fanbase hungry for playoff wins and a roster still finding its identity. Wilson took it all in stride, won a public quarterback battle against Justin Fields, and guided the Steelers back to the postseason. That alone should have earned him another year under Mike Tomlin's leadership. Russell Wilson's performance with the Pittsburgh Steelers was good enough to be dubbed the New York Giants' starting QB. Wilson's numbers in 2024 weren't off the charts, but they were efficient and steady. 2,482 passing yards, 16 touchdowns, and just 5 interceptions. In an Arthur Smith offense that often lacked rhythm or innovation, the veteran kept the ship afloat and gave Pittsburgh a real shot in the AFC. Still, Omar Khan and the Steelers' front office opted to go in another direction, leaving Wilson without a deal and, seemingly, without a home. But as has been the case throughout his career, Wilson didn't pout, he pivoted. And once the Giants came calling, he embraced the opportunity like the seasoned pro he is. At 36 years old, Wilson still has plenty of juice left in the tank. His leadership, preparation, and competitive fire remain elite. The Giants are banking on that, and judging by Daboll's quick endorsement, it seems Wilson is already making his mark in the locker room. For Wilson, this is more than just a comeback. It's a continuation of a legacy built on resilience, professionalism, and winning. The 10-time Pro Bowler now enters the 2025 season with something to prove again. If Pittsburgh wasn't sure whether they made the right decision, they'll find out soon enough. Because Russ isn't just starting, he's aiming to make another run, and this time, he's doing it in blue.